Alright guys, today in class we talked about a dot plot. So the first thing we're going to do is just to do a quick recap on what a dot plot is. A dot plot, or a line plot, those names are interchanged, is a frequency chart that is displayed on a number line. So frequency just means like how many times does it happen. So when we're talking about a dot plot, it is frequency is represented by dots for every time that a certain number or piece of data occurs. Okay, so here's what our dot plot might look like. This was a survey taken about which genre of movie you like. So every time that somebody said comedy, you put a dot. Every time somebody says action, you set a dot. So you can see that 4 people said they like comedy, 5 people said they liked action, 6 people said they like romance, 1 person said they like drama, and then we got 4 people that like sci-fi. So those are just some examples. This one is a dot plot on hours spent on homework per week. So you can see that it's just a frequency, it's just a dot every time like somebody says, I spend 9 hours on homework, we would just go put a dot. So to make a dot plot, first thing you need to do is you need to determine your highest and your lowest values. Okay, so you need to find your range. You need to figure out what's my highest, what's my lowest. Then you're going to make a number line that extends to those numbers. So it extends from your lowest to your highest. Okay, then you're going to place a dot or an X above that number every time that it occurs. Now, one special note. You need to make sure that your dots or your X's are even. You see how all of these are exactly the same size? They have to be exactly the same size, and they have to be equally spaced so that it is a true accuracy of their frequencies, how often they occur. Okay, so some vocabulary that we need to review. Okay, when we're talking about statistical displays, we're going to be talking about the words spread, attribute, and observations. So spread occurs to the range of the data points. Okay, so we have a numerical data set, we call it the range. When we have a statistical display, like a dot plot, we call it the spread. Okay, so for example, in this one, our spread goes from 12 to 5, so there's a range of 7. Okay, sometimes you'll see it written as the spread from 5 to 12, or they'll go ahead and do the subtraction and tell you that the range is 7. Okay, the attribute is the specific characteristic or feature of the graph. So in other words, it's what the graph is about. So it's easy to find the attribute because it's typically located in the title. Okay, the attribute is the feature, what it's about. So if we look at this one, it's the hours slept last night. Okay, so the attribute or the feature, the graph is about how many hours people slept. Okay, and the number of observations is the number of pieces of data collected in the sample. So if they ask you how many observations, it's just asking how many pieces of data do you have in this data set. So we can do that by just counting up the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, till we cover the entire dot plot. And this one has 29 dots, therefore it has 29 observations. Okay, so that's some vocabulary we're going to need for the next few days as we look at statistical displays. Let's actually create our dot plot. Okay, so it says the following data was collected from a survey done in class about the students' number of siblings. Okay, so it's like if we went around to the class and we asked everybody, how many siblings do you have? These are the numbers that were responded. Okay, so the first thing we need to look at is our range. I see somebody had 0 siblings, and I see somebody had 7. Okay, so that's our least and that's our most. So first thing we're going to do is draw our number line, and I know it needs to go from 0 all the way to 7. Okay, now that's easy. We can just count by 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now we're just going to go through our chart, and we're going to put a dot every time we see these numbers. Okay, so I see a 2, and the reason that I use graph paper is so that I can keep them nice and evenly spaced out. So I've got a 2, so I'm going to put a dot. Okay, our next one is a 3, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put a dot. I'm going to make them the same size. I'm going to make them on the same line here. Then we have a 1, so I'm going to put a dot at 1. We have a 4. Oh, sorry, I went ahead and did my other one here. Now we have a 4. We have a 7. I'm going to come over here and put my 7. We have another 4. So I'm going to line it up with my graph paper here and put a 4. I have another 2. I have a 0, so I'm going to go above 0 and put my dot. I've already done this one. I have a 3, so I'm going to go above and put my 3. I have a 2, and I have another 2. Okay, so there's my dot plot. Let's look at some statistical calculations based on the dot plot that we just created. Okay, what is the attribute? Well, we need to put a title on our dot plot so people can tell the attribute. Our attribute is the number of siblings. So make sure that you're putting your title on your dot plot so people know what the attribute of your graph is. Ours is that specific feature. It is the number of siblings. Okay, how many observations are recorded? So when you're working with a dot plot and asks you how many observations, all you have to do is count the dots that are there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 observations. Okay, can you find the mean? Now, to find the mean, what we're going to do is we would add all of these up and then divide by 12 because that's how many they are. So in our calculator, we would take 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4 plus 3 plus 7 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2, enter, okay? And then we would divide it by 12, and then we get the mean, or the average, is 2.6, okay? Now we're looking for the median, okay? To find the median, we're actually going to have to write out the data set. And when we write out the data set from a dot plot, it makes it super easy because it's actually already in order from least to greatest. So we have a 0. I'm going to type in my 0. Then I have 2 1s. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 2s. So I have a 2, 2, 2, and a 2. I have 2 3s. I have 2 4s and a 7. Okay, then we would cross out each end. This one is an even number data set, so we have 2 numbers left in the middle. They're both a 2, okay? So if I add 2 plus 2, I get 4, and then I need to divide that by 2, and I get 2. So the median is 2. Now, the mode is asking us for which one occurs the most. On a dot plot, the one that occurs the most has the tallest number of dots. It's not 7. That is the highest number, it's the maximum, but it's not the mode. It's not the one that occurs the most. The one that occurs the most is 2, has the most dots, so the mode is 2. Okay. What is the spread of the data? So the spread goes from 0 to 7. It's the range, or 7. Okay, so it goes from 0 to 7. Our range would be 7. Are there any outliers? So when you look at a dot plot, you can tell that something's an outlier because you're going to have a cluster of data. You're going to have a gap, and then one out here all by itself, okay? We see that this one all out here by itself is 7, okay? So our outlier is 7.